I thought I was being responsible. Turns out I was being indoctrinated. I followed the rules. I worked hard. I did the things that responsible people are supposed to do. I flossed. I voted. I said yes, sir, in school. I folded towels the right way. I set up autopay to save the trees, and I apologized for existing, like taking up space was something I needed permission for. And then one day it all cracks, and you're standing there with your color-coded planner, your fading 401k, and you think, wait, was this a cult? What the hell have I been doing? Why did I trust that the systems around me were ever working for me and not just through me? Because it wasn't just me that broke. It was the realization that the life that I had, this whole identity that I built, was propped up by assumptions I never actually questioned. And once I started looking at it, really looking at it, I couldn't believe how much of it wasn't real. I had mistaken obedience for intelligence, and I was valedictorian of shutting up and doing what I was told. It started in the silence after the layoff, right? After the chaos, after the advice stopped rolling in, when the panic calmed just enough for the thoughts to sneak in. I realized I couldn't Google my way out of an existential awakening. Believe me, I tried. Nothing like typing in, "How do I fix my life?" into Google and getting a list of meal prep services. Oh, great, quinoa. That'll solve my existential crisis. Even ChatGPT was like, girl, this one's above my pay grade. Something didn't feel right. It felt off. And that's when it hit me. I had spent decades being good at a life I never actually designed. It turns out I wasn't thinking. I was complying. I wasn't living. I was executing. And I think part of why it took me so long to see it is because I didn't want to believe that people could be that manipulative. I didn't ask where the rules came from. I didn't ask who they served or why they always seemed to benefit the same people, because they were everywhere. Not just in HR manuals, but in Sunday sermons and after-school specials. In the way my mother said, be polite, like it was a survival tactic. In the way every teen drama warned me not to be too much. The rules came wrapped in permission slips and praise. Say please, be nice, smile, don't talk back. From kindergarten to cable news, the message was clear. Compliance is maturity. Rebellion is a phase. And God forbid you ask why without raising your hand first. Because I believed deep down that the people in charge knew what they were doing, that leadership meant integrity, that government cared about fairness, that education was about enlightenment, that corporate America was a meritocracy with parking spaces, that religion was about grace, not control, that the news told you what happened, not what to fear, that family meant unconditional love, not conditional roles with a passive-aggressive flair. I didn't think the people in charge were narcissists running power plays. I didn't assume bad intent. I assumed grown adults in charge of entire systems might actually give a damn about the people that were in them. I grew up thinking that morality came from obedience, like if I followed the commandments and stayed humble, I'd be rewarded. But all it got me was a lifetime subscription to guilt and the fear of saying no. I thought most people meant what they said, but now I see how much of that was a performance, a well-rehearsed, high-stakes performance that rewards charm, not integrity. I wanted to believe that they were looking out for me and that there was a collective greater good behind all this sacrifice, that if I just played my part, I'd be taken care of. But they weren't looking out for me. They were cashing in on my belief that they were. My trust wasn't misplaced. It was monetized. And I handed it over willingly because I thought compliance meant character. My bad. The job, the economy, the politics, the promises, they weren't just flawed. They were built to extract, right? Extract my labor, extract my attention, and most of all, extract my loyalty. My belief that doing the right thing meant success was just around the corner. But oh no, there was no corner, just more tunnel and the occasional HR poster reminding me to hydrate. And the more I looked, the more I realized how deep the setup really went. Nobody warned me that I could hit midlife and still have no idea how the game works, despite playing it for decades. Not because you're stupid, but because you're too functional to question it, too distracted, too focused on doing well to stop and ask what well even means. I was too busy succeeding, too focused on being the good employee, the reliable one, the adult who has it all together. And honestly, I didn't want to question it because if I did, I'd have to admit my whole life wasn't built on a foundation. It was built on a stage set. Just props, duct tape, and branding. Because when the fog lifts, when the illusion finally cracks, it doesn't feel wise at all. It doesn't feel empowering. It feels humiliating. It's like finding out Santa isn't real, except Santa is my career, my government, my healthcare plan, my retirement strategy, and my belief in higher education. I looked around at everything I used to trust, my vote, my paycheck, my degree, my health insurance. I realized that none of this was built to protect me. And let's be real, I didn't just absorb it from school or work. I learned it from Oprah, from rom-coms, from every girl boss who sold burnout as ambition. We didn't have role models. We had mascots for overfunctioning. Education wasn't enlightenment. It was branding, a 4-year sales pitch that convinced me following directions was the same thing as being smart. We were taught how to memorize, not to question, how to pass, not think. And if you dared color outside the lines, well, congratulations, you got labeled difficult before you even hit puberty. Healthcare is a for-profit scavenger hunt that only covers you if you're lucky, employed, and in network between the hours of 9 to 4 and on a leap year. Now, we can't not mention politics, a fundraising machine that weaponizes hope, calls it democracy, and robocalls me incessantly. Like a lot. Like frickin' stop it. Seriously. And media, a gaslight and high def. 1 minute telling you to chase your dreams, and the next reminding you that your arms aren't summer ready. Now, don't forget work. Work was the drug, the sedative, the socially acceptable addiction that kept me too busy to ask why everything else was on fire. And don't even get me started on the self-help loop. Pay money to learn how to set boundaries with the people who were supposed to protect you. Read 300 pages just to be told, have you tried journaling? Sis, I've written more trauma journals than the New York Times. Where's my frickin' Pulitzer? Huh? Tell me, what's the moment that you stopped saying this feels off and you started saying, oh, damn, this is a scam? Because I know I'm not the only one who figured it out too late. I didn't just miss something. I missed everything. Because, yeah, I knew that the system had flaws. Turns out the flaws are the system. But seeing the truth is one thing. Admitting your role in it, now that's a whole other level. Here's the quiet part that no one wants to say out loud. It's not the system's betrayal that wrecks you. It's the shame of realizing that you helped enforce it. I wasn't just in the cult. I was leading the onboarding sessions. I had the branded mugs and everything, all the swag. Not only did I drink the Kool-Aid, I brought extra cups for others. I was the damn cult concierge. I coached others to stay the course. I gave pep talks in break rooms, and I told myself that staying late was dedication. And outside of work, I was peddling the same pitch. Be nice. Don't rock the boat. If you just stay strong, things will work out. I didn't question it. I internalized it, packaged it, gift wrapped it with a bow like it was wisdom, when in reality it was a muzzle. Be a good daughter. Keep the peace. Be the responsible one. I swallowed so many roles, I forgot what I actually wanted until wanting anything felt selfish. I wasn't spreading resilience. I was distributing emotional duct tape. Not because I was stupid, but because I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought loyalty was noble. I thought keeping your head down was mature. I thought being exhausted all the time meant that I was adulting correctly. I thought being a good woman meant being agreeable, helpful, and low maintenance. I silenced the voice in my head that said something's off, but worse, I judged the people who didn't. The ones who questioned authority, called it a scam. I thought they were reckless. Turns out they were early. That's what guts me now, that I spent so long trying to fix myself to fit into systems that were never designed to support me. Trying to be less reactive, less intense, more coachable. It's really all code for be easier to exploit. And that's the hardest part for me to admit, that I spent decades being earnest in a world that runs on fraud. Every system said, trust us, and I did. I trusted school to prepare me, religion to guide me, media to inform me, family to support me. Well, the joke's on me, because it turns out all of them were just different departments of the same illusion. Turns out self-awareness and regret make one hell of a cocktail. Sure, I can tell myself, well, I didn't know better, but did I? Did I? Maybe deep down, I just didn't want to detonate the illusion. And no illusion went deeper or cost more than the one that they sold us next. All right, my friends, let's talk about retirement. You know, the light at the end of the productivity tunnel, where you finally clock out at 65 and ride off into the sunset with your matching patio furniture, a Costco-sized tub of joint supplements, and a fruity drink with an umbrella in it. Except, no. Even the people I did trust, the so-called experts, the financial advisors that still tell you to prepare for retirement at 65, like that is a normal, achievable milestone. Like we're all going to clock out gracefully and sip something cold on a porch somewhere, as if that's how this ends for most of us, instead of gig work and GoFundMe links. Why 65? Why that number? Who decided that that was the finish line? Was that based on actual data? Or did someone back in the day say, you know what would be funny? You know what would be hilarious? A finish line that nobody can reach. Let's do that. Because it sure as hell wasn't based on modern reality. Retirement advice hasn't evolved since VHS tapes and rotary phones. They're out here suggesting that I give up my lattes while ignoring the fact that healthcare costs more than my mortgage. Sure, I'll skip that $4 coffee. That'll really move the needle on this $14,000 deductible. It wasn't based on the cost of living or corporate loyalty or wage stagnation. It was based on an old script that no one is willing to admit is dead. The whole plan runs on nostalgia and denial. But they keep saying it, and we keep believing it until we're standing there at 50, looking around and realizing that we're nowhere close. Cool. How inspirational. We're not retiring. We're aging out of jobs listings and praying that our bodies hold up long enough to freelance until we die. It's not that I even want to stop working. I like working. It's that at some point I physically won't be able to. Now, for example, my husband is a master plumber. He's been doing this for over 30 years, and his body, it's wrecked. Not tired, it is wrecked. And the idea that he should keep crawling under houses and hauling water heaters until he's 65, like that's normal? That's not a plan. That's abuse dressed up as tradition. So what do you do when the finish line disappears and all you're left with is clarity? Because now I'm awake, not better, not healed, just awake. And it's jarring because everything looks the same, but nothing feels the same. I wish I could say that I've fully woken up, but there are some days that I still flinch if I don't check my email by 9 o'clock, right? Deprogramming is not a light switch. It's a crawl through the weirdest fog of your life. I see the rituals, the scripts, the absurdity of it all. I used to believe all that stuff. I used to believe all of it. The motivational quotes, the 10-year plans, the vision boards, the idea that if I worked hard and stayed good, good things would happen. Girl, I drank the green smoothies while manifesting abundance and journaling about being a boss babe. Everything I used to accept now looks bizarre. That's the only word I can think of. Bizarre, exhausting. Manipulative. I'm experiencing a very disorienting, irreversible shift in how I see the world. It's changed everything. It's like realizing the escape room that I've been trying to beat doesn't even have a door. So no, I don't feel enlightened. I don't feel wise. I feel late and stupid. It's like finally finding the glasses that you've been searching all over the house for, and they're on your own damn face. And now you can see everything is just kind of ugly. But I guess I'd rather be late than never, because late means I still showed up. And honestly, I'd rather arrive with clarity and crow's feet than still be smiling in someone else's costume. And now that I see the world for what it is, I'm not wasting as much energy trying to fix myself to fit inside of it. And if you're waking up too, if all of this sounds just a bit familiar, just know you're not the only one walking around with your eyes finally open. I know it's disorienting as hell, but it's not too late to do something with that. Waking up is brutal, but you know what's worse? Looking back at what I tolerated and realizing how much of it I called normal, how much of it I defended. The meetings, the fake gratitude, the performative burnout we wore like badges of honor. So yeah, I made a list, a very honest one, a very funny one. Stick around, watch here. I'm about to tell you everything I don't miss about corporate life. And oh, there are some gems.